more to be back with you here at ABC Amber Television, ABC Amber Broadcasting Corporation. Again, I'd like to say welcome to all of you on Ground Zero. Welcome to all of you watching by way of satellite in all of sub-Saharan Africa. Those of you watching in Europe by way of your gadgets, by way of your laptops, your computers, PCs, and mobile gadgets, thank you. Thank you for joining ABC tonight. And of course, I won't forget those of you joining from Canada and the continental USA, that is including South America. Again, I will never forget those of you watching, those of you refugees watching from Mexico, thousands of you down there in Mexico. May God bless you all, and I hope that one day we shall have a great reunion back home in Amazonia, where we shall all tell our stories, the different stories of these struggles. Every family has a peculiar story to tell, so long as this struggle is concerned. And that is why I am filled with excitement each time I come to you to update you with what is going on with the revolution. So again, once more, just another privilege to come to you. Please go ahead right now. As you join, do me that favor. We're going to have a very, very exciting broadcast today with a very, very exciting guest that I'm bringing to you today. So please do your part. Go ahead. If you are watching by way of Facebook, I will come to you with this program proper once you have given me 700 people within the next 5 minutes. 700 within the next 5 minutes. So please, as you join, do me the favor, go ahead and hit your share button. Hit your share button and let us populate the platform. I can see the numbers are rising very, very rapidly. Thank you again. If you are just joining on Facebook, you go ahead and hit your share button and let us get this platform quickly, very, very quickly populated. Now, before I go on, first I should apologize. 2 days ago, I advertised in the place of my guest that I'm having today. I was supposed to be bringing to you a very, very exclusive interview with the lawyers that ARC has hired to serve Amazonia, suing La République du Cameroon, or let me put it in legal jargons, prosecuting La République du Cameroon at the ICC and the ICJ. We decided to suspend that interview until certain things are done. So that interview will come up. I promise you. We just have to do it at the right moment. So I just wanted you to know this. Please, if you are joining, you will have to give me 700 people on Facebook, so that I can bring the guest to you with the program proper. So go ahead, hit your share button as you join. Let's not keep Ground Zero glued on television forever. So they are at your mercies for those of you joining by way of Facebook. Please, so if you are just joining, go ahead, hit your share button quickly. The moment I see the figure 700 on my screen, I will come to you with this broadcast. In the meantime, let me take a few announcements here, ladies and gentlemen. I just would like to remind every one of you, most especially if you are on Ground Zero, lockdown is coming up on Sunday. Lockdown is coming up on Sunday. Now, before I talk about that, let me make a comment besides that. The interim government has learned of a certain ghost town that is being implemented in Bamenda on Fridays. That means every Friday. We would like the population in Bamenda to know that the interim government has not instituted any ghost town in Bamenda on Fridays. This is very, very important. We do not know who is behind that, but we wish to say this very, very unambiguously, that we do not want a situation where somebody is declaring a lockdown. I was told that the decision for that ghost town came from ground zero, has come from ground zero, and they have been observing Friday's lockdowns since the Ngarbu incident. That is good. It's a very, very good thing. However, we really love a situation where when we say ghost towns, those ghost towns are observed by the entire territory, both in the northern zone and the southern zone. We do not like the situation where a ghost town is imposed on a single community like in Bamenda and the environs and the neighborhood. We want ghost town that is universal in the territory that is called Ambazonia. Because very soon, of course, we are already getting complaints that ghost town is only being obeyed in Bamenda. It is not true. The northern zone is not observing any ghost town on Fridays because none has been announced. And so if you are observing any ghost town in Bamenda on Fridays and you are wondering why it is not being observed in other places, it is because the interim government has not announced any ghost towns for Fridays. So, if you are doing it in Bamenda, you know why you are doing it. You know from who you are taking those instructions. They are not from the interim government. Right now, the interim government has only this coming Sunday towards French Cameroon fraudulent elections and corrupt elections scheduled for this Sunday. So please, again, we have only instituted lockdown for Sunday. Monday will be the regular ghost town for all of our territory. Lockdown on Sunday for all the territory. Ghost town on Monday for all of the territory. Let us send a message, ladies and gentlemen, through this lockdown to the international community that the southern Cameroons and its citizens have not been part of French Cameroon organized fraudulent elections. And by the way, coming up to you a few minutes ago, I learned that in Bafut, the SDF mayor and parliamentarians for Bafut are having a certain meeting, holding a certain meeting in which they hope to corrupt Ambazonian restoration forces in that community so that they can allow their elections, fraudulent elections, to take place in Bafut on Sunday. I want them to know, those parliamentarians and the mayor to know, we are very much aware here at the interim government of that meeting that took place today. Perhaps it's still meeting right now as I come to you. We are aware of that meeting, and I can assure those parliamentarians in Bafut and the mayor that no election is taking place in Bafut on Sunday. Bafut will be completely locked down, and anyone found on the streets of Bafut, on the roads in Bafut, shall be considered an enemy, a saboteur, an enabler, and due punishment shall be meted to that person or persons. So that is very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. No elections on Sunday. Sunday is a complete lockdown in Ambazonia. No churches to be open. Nobody should attempt stepping outside. Any taxis that we find outside or the restoration forces find outside shall be considered taxis being driven by La République du Cameroon soldiers, and any action shall be taken by the restoration forces against such taxes. Very, very important. Take note of that. Again, if you are just joining, please go ahead and hit your share button the moment we hit the 700 mark. I am bringing you my special guest for this broadcast. It is going to be very, very exciting. So please go ahead and hit your share button as you join. Now, this is a very, very important announcement that I bring to you. We are receiving information that a certain group, mask, M-A-S-K, a certain masked group of people out there calling themselves, they're calling themselves Southern Cameroonians. They don't use the word Ambazonia. They call themselves Southern Cameroonians. Ladies and gentlemen, when you hear the word Southern, when you hear a group using the word Southern Cameroonians, you know where they are coming from. You know what their leaning is. Those are the Federalists among us. Now, a certain group that call itself Southern Cameroonians is calling Ambazonians for a certain international town hall tomorrow, Saturday, I think around 4 p.m. I don't know whether 4 p.m. about time or whatever time, I don't know. But that is what I hear in their audio. They are calling for an international town hall, Southern Cameroon's town hall meeting sometime tomorrow. They are calling on people on ground zero. They are calling on people on ground one to join them in this town hall meeting to talk about whatever they want to talk about. And of course, they say they want to also talk about the coronavirus. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me very, very attentively. This group calling for a town hall meeting of people on ground one and ground two and the diaspora. And the diaspora, these are the set of people that want to take us back to La République du Cameroon. They are the Federalists amongst us who are calling you to indoctrinate you so that you can forget about our quest for a free and independent Ambazonia. We are warning you, you will go in there. If you go in there, you will hear things that you will want. They will not tell you. They will not tell you they are Federalists. They will tell you they are all seeking for a free, because the word free can mean anything. It can mean anything. They will all tell you they are all seeking for a free Ambazonia, but they will not dare mention the word independent Ambazonia. And that is why the word that comes out of your mouth is Southern Cameroon's International Town Hall for Southern Cameroon. Do not be deceived. Open your eyes, every one of you are there, fellow Ambazonians. We have gone too far in this struggle to start turning back and listening to the Federalists, who are the reason we are here in the first place. They have held us back for all these 4 years, and we are not right now going back into it. People who once stood out and they shouted with you and me that nothing but a free and independent Southern Cameroons. They are the ones from South Africa, from the nooks and corner of the diaspora, from Europe. They are the ones inviting you for a Federalist agenda town hall meeting, and they call it Southern Cameroon's International Town Hall. Please do not fall for this cheap blackmail. Don't fall for it. That thing's supposed to be tomorrow, but I'm just warning you, letting you know the interim government does not endorse that cavalier way of trying to penetrate our people, to fool them and to lie to them about what they are trying to do. They are telling you that they are coming to educate you about the coronavirus. About the coronavirus. Where have they been? Where have they been? All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for growing the numbers. I am very, very excited at this moment for today's broadcast. I have with me a very, very special guest who has been a crusader in his own way, And in this revolution, in this struggle for the independence for the southern Cameroons. And though we share different opinions, we share different ideology as to the way that this revolution should take, I thought to bring him right here on ABC Amber Television so that he can share with us, why he thinks that the grand national dialogue that took place in Yaoundé turned out not to be what he probably thought it was going to be. I am here talking about the one and only Kennedy Ejacha. Mr. Kennedy is a reverend gentleman and is based in the wonderful state of Maryland. It's a pleasure you joining me here today, Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, thank you very much. Secretary Chris Anu, I don't know, I may call you brother in Christ, I may call you fellow compatriot, considering that we all hail from the same country, our nation, Cameroon, that is very, very torn with the crisis that's going on. It's a pleasure to come in here. It's true. I mean, I followed your intro and I asked myself, is this really where I should be from the introduction, all the announcements that you made? But let's be assured.
We will get there. You have all the time to express your disagreements, and this is a debate, and nothing is a no-go area here. We will get there. But before we get there, I'd like to take a moment to play this clip of you speaking in Yaoundé, during the national dialogue, so-called, which is the subject of this interview, this discussion. Give me 1 second, please. Let's listen to it.
Donc, qui est entre l'optimisme et le pessimisme, donc je dirais que je suis prudemment optimiste. Mon source dans le cadre de la commission éducation qui va... Je l'ai dit, le problème au Cameroun n'est pas les propositions qui ont été faites pour améliorer le système éducatif.
Dans les curricula du pays de création des emplois. Nous avons également encouragé les établissements.
I couldn't get that clip to the point, but in the course of the broadcast, we will get that clip right on point. But let me play another clip of yours. This was in 2013, quite before this revolution began. Listen, please.
More than 23 years ago, on exactly May 26, 1990, there was a revival of the movement for the liberation of our nation. On that day, 6 innocent souls were seized from this world through the cold-blooded murdering machine of the Biya'S regime. Their only crime was that they stood to demand that their voices be heard and be counted in the process of nation building. They so loved their nation that they saw no sacrifice too big to get the nation up on its legs. These 6 young men and women bore no weapons, but against them, the regime ruled out its death squad. What the death of these 6 brave young men and women echoes in our mind is the very fact that the history of our nation is not only full of cowards, traitors, imperial collaborators, prevaricators, and dilapidators of our national treasury.
Thank you. That was you, Mr. Kennedy, in 2013. And the 6 young men you referred to in that footage are the 6 young men who were killed during the launching of the SDF in the 1990. And you referred to some people in that clip who did not acknowledge what was happening then as traitors, enablers of our suffering. Now, you since joined the SDF after the launching of that party. And the SDF, which still remains your party, went ahead to deny the same people who gave them power, the same power the SDF sorted for, Do you consider you and those of you in the SDF as those traitors and enablers?
Well, I don't consider that we of the SDF nor any other person that's fighting for what we have been fighting for since 1990 are traitors. Let's get this straight. 6 people died. And when they died...
Thank you. Sorry, let's do this. If you can sit a little bit erect so you are closer to your microphone, okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right.
That's better.
Yes, yes. I was saying that let's get this straight. In 2013, I was making a point that I'm still making up to this day. And if you watch that clip very well, I was referring to our nation. And that nation still remains to me Cameroon. 6 people died in 1990.
What did they die for?
They died for multipartyism. They died for freedom of expression. They died for self-determination. And that's why the fight for self-determination is still ongoing within the SDF. And that's a fight that we are taking through the nooks and crannies of Cameroon. It's a fight where we would exclude no single Cameroonian, because we cannot win the fight for self-determination to the exclusion of some other Cameroonians. And these 6 people, when they died, they knew very well that they were dying for a party that was being launched for all of Cameroon.
Right, you are very correct. Those 6 people died for a party that was fighting for all of Cameroon. And then your slogan was power, power to the people. The same people have risen up and they have said, the SDF, it is time for you to walk out of that parliament. Why can't you, you in the SDF, not listen to the same people?
The people are going to have the opportunity.
When will that be?
On the 22nd. Let's give them the opportunity on the 22nd, which is coming in 2 days. Let's give the people the opportunity to express their opinion. And if it is the will of the people that the
what is happening on the 22nd, sir? What is happening on the 22nd?
Yes, there's an election coming up on Sunday, the 22nd of March, a rerun. And now the people of the Northwest would have the opportunity to express their opinion as to whether they want the SDF to be in parliament or not. We believe in the sovereign power of the people. And that's why we keep telling the people, we keep telling everyone, let's not usurp the power of the people, act in lieu and place of the people. We have this.
Don't you realize it is people in authority in the place of power like you in the SDF who are usurping the power of the people? The overwhelming majority of the constituency of the SDF, they have said we do not want that election. They locked their homes and remained in their homes when that election was being conducted, and which is the reason why La République is trying to reconduct that election. Why can't the SDF listen to these same people who gave them power in 1990?
What we have been advocating for in the SDF, it is not the power of the people expressed through the barrel of the gun. And what I'm seeing is some group of people coming up thinking that they can use the barrel of the gun.
I won't let you go with that. I won't let you go with that, though. When you say the SDF is not looking for power by the barrel of the gun, history reminds us that SDF refused to go for election twice. It was that a barrel of the gun?
That's in democracy, again, as I say, we boycotted, which is also, we are not against anybody saying that they should boycott or not boycott. What we are standing against is people, just as I saw you at the beginning of this show, intimidating people not to go out. That if anybody goes out, they will be considered as enemies. That is where there's a big difference between I and you. We might all be fighting for the same thing. I know that the bottom line is we need self-determination. But your method of going around it is what is problematic to me.
We will come to that. We will come to the question of self-determination, but let's dwell a little bit still on this subject of the SDF. I want to ask you another question relating to the founding of the SDF. You will recall that at the launching of the SDF, quite a number of young men were amputated, besides those who died. Does the SDF, those of you in places of position, power, do you guys know where those amputated gentlemen they are today?
Yes, we know where they are, and one of them is a very close personal assistant to the national chairman of the SDF.
And who is that?
John. His name is John.
How about Joseph, the reporter for Cameroon Outlook then? And there was another young man called Babila. He was a student in CCC Mancon.
Yes. Well, we have been taking care of those who were the victims of democracy, and just as we are taking care of so many other victims. So if you go to the specifics of those names, I might not have any information as to the specifics, but we know that in terms of our elected officials taking care of all the victims of the tyranny of the regime in Yaoundé, we've been doing a good job on that.
Now, do you realize that the chairman of your party has abdicated the country and is hiding somewhere just so that he should not be rich? And I have spoken with some high-ranking members of the SDF who say they are about to raise Article 8.2 on the chairman. Are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that. Thank you for giving me the information. And talking about the abdication of the chairman, I think there's no person more bold and courageous than the chairman of the SDF, Nijon Fruni. That's the only politician who stood his ground while everybody else was escaping from the Northwest because of the crisis, because of the terror that was reigning there. He stayed there and was kidnapped once. His family asked him to leave. He still went back.
When was that? When did that happen?
Our chairman is having some health issues. And like every other human being, after having gone through all the hospitals in Cameroon, we all remember, if you saw the images, one of the times that he was interned in the hospital, he was in Shishong. So the chairman has used all the resources that are available in Cameroon for his health. And now we have found out that there are some better resources out of Cameroon that could help with the restoration of the chairman's health. And that's why the chairman is out of Cameroon. But
the top-ranking officials of his party do not know where their leader is. And that emanated from the fact that the National Executive Committee of the party said no going for elections. Between Joshua Osi and himself, they choose to go for the elections. They received a phone call overnight. They turned the result, the statement from the National Executive Committee, and decided that they were going for the elections. Since then, he has run away. He ran away out of the country. Nobody knows where he is. But let's forget about that. Not very important for this interview.
No, Secretary Chris, let me bring some clarification. Go back and read the newspapers. It took 4 days of conclave for the National Executive of the SDF to arrive at the decision overturning the earlier opinion of not going to elections. It was 4 days.
Yes, because you are correct, sir. You are correct. The facts are correct. But the reason behind that, the first decision that was taken was not going for elections at the first National Executive Committee. When the result came out, the information went out, the chairman was in London. I spoke with him, and he said he doesn't understand. I should wait for the interview I conducted with him until the final decision is taken. When the final decision was then taken, it was a reverse. They are going for elections. But let's move on from that. Let me put this, I'd like you to take a look, watch this footage from yourself. This was 2018, please. I'm sorry.
When we must unite to let the dictatorial regime of Mr. Paul Biya know that we have irrevocably taken the path to our self-determination.
All right, so here is where you talk about self-determination. Yet, I see behind you the flag of Cameroon, French Cameroon, and the lapel for French Cameroon, bearing French Cameroon flag actually on your suit. What self-determination were you talking about? Do we understand what self-determination is about?
I mean, yes, self-determination is the right for the people to decide about their future, the right for the people to manage their city, and that's what we've been advocating for. That's what the founding father of the great nation of the Federal Republic of Cameroon.
I think you are narrowing it, sir. I think self-determination means the right of the people to choose their form of state, not just to govern their cities and to do their form of state.
I agree with you on that premise. It is a right of the people.
So in your mind, when you made that statement, what kind of self-determination were you referring to when you had the flag of Cameroon flying behind you and a lapel pin pinned to your coat? What kind of self-determination were you referring to?
I'm referring to the self-determination that we've been fighting for since 1990 with the relaunch of the SDF. The self-determination as it is inscribed in the 1961 Constitution of Cameroon. That self-determination that gave us the right to have our Conference of Chiefs, to have our Federal Assembly, to have our municipal police, to still have our power camp, to have all the institutions necessary for our self-development. That is what I've been talking about in terms of self-determination. And that's a fight that I'm never, ever going to give up on.
But you realize that French Cameroon did not give Ambazonia or the Southern Cameroon self-determination. I mean, all those things you just enumerated there, none of them was given us by French Cameroon. And when Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians now rise up today to say, French Cameroon, we are taking back what belongs to us, why are you so much in opposition to it?
Okay, I'm in no way in opposition to the goal as it is set. I am in opposition to the fact that, one, people have decided, even if it is retaliatory violence, I recognize very well that the violence that is coming from the Southern Cameroonians who are calling themselves Ambazonian is retaliatory violence. But that is not the solution. Now, let me explain to you clearly why I stand in objection to that. We were entrapped into a war. When Mr. Biya came back at the tarmac of the airport, he came, one of his trips out at the tarmac of the airport, and then he declared that there was going to be war. We fell into the bait, and now that's the result. What's happening right now? We are killing ourselves even more than the military is killing us. That is unattainable, and that's what I vehemently oppose, or I vehemently stand against.
Okay, you have the right to your opinion, but let me ask you, what is the alternative? What would you do after a dictator declare war on you?
Okay, this is what I would have done, and this is what the SDF has been doing since, and in spite of all the sabotage that we've been having from within, we, in the situation in which we are, it would have been reasonable for us to form strategic alliances
with
who?
The
rest of, with all other Cameroonians, with Cameroonians from the other region. Get this. We are not.
I don't understand what you say with other Cameroonians. The tent, the independent tent, is a wide tent, a very, very wide tent. We don't need alliances. We need people into the tent, and somebody like you ought to be in the tent. You don't even need an invitation. You just need to walk in. So I don't understand what you say forming alliances. What would the alliances do any different?
I mean, for instance, if you can agree with me that at this point in time, with the struggle that you all are leading, let me just for 1 minute play the devil's advocate.
Okay.
Don't you think that why are people clamoring for strategic alliances between President Sako and Ayabacho and Akwanganji?
No, I think you got it wrong. We are not looking for. You know that I'm part of Sako's government, and we are not clamoring for any alliances. We are looking for collaboration. I think the word alliance is different from collaboration.
You can give it any name, Secretary Sako. You can call that alliance, you can call it strategic, whatever. But the bottom line is, okay, we are also saying, let's form alliance with all Cameroonians who are suffering and fight for self-determination, for a federated system, and tell
your context of Cameroon, do you mean Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, or you mean Cameroonians?
No, I mean Southern Cameroonians with East Cameroonians, because I am still in
your premise is a little bit confused though. When you talk about self-determination, and according to your definition of it, the ability for the people to decide how to govern themselves, and you are quoting all the past institutions of the Southern Cameroons, and now you are talking about forming alliances with French Cameroon. How do you get to where you get back all those things with alliances with French Cameroon? It doesn't make sense, right?
No, it makes sense because now the first thing is to identify the adversary, the enemy. The enemy is not the people of Cameroon. It is the system. It is the regime that is in place in Cameroon. And all Cameroonians are...
You don't believe that people make up the regime, the system?
Please, I didn't get your question.
You don't believe that individuals make up that system?
Absolutely, I do believe.
Okay. So when we say...
And that's why in this system, you have an Atanganji who is not a Francophone. You have John Gute, who is not a Francophone. You have...
they are all married. Do you know that Atanganji is married to a Francophone? Dion Gute, married to a Francophone. Mbandam, Joseph Bandam, married to a Francophone. I think you are the only one married to an Ambazonian in that part, in the whole arrangement.
Secretary Chris,
am I wrong?
I didn't know you could. I didn't know you could seize this laughter from me. But the reality is, okay. I mean, if all of our illustrious sons and daughters are married to the Francophones, I mean, then there is enough reason for us not even to want to even dare separate, because by different type of alliances, we are already one. Don't you see that?
But well, let me ask you, let me go back to a little history here when you talk about separation. You believe that French Cameroon had its independence in 1960. I'm sure you believe that.
No, I believe in the recolonization, colonization of
on French the recolonization of Ambazonia.
No, of French Cameroon. If you want to go from historic facts, instead of having an independence on the 1st of January 1960, French Cameroon was instead colonized, because before 1960,
by who?
It was colonized by France.
In 1960?
1st of January 1960. That's a history that many people don't understand.
All right.
Okay,
and when did the Southern Cameroons get its independence?
Okay, what the Southern Cameroon got under the Charter of the United Nations, Article 76B, it got its right to self-determination. And let me explain the nuance to you, because we can go back to history. The Charter of the United Nations was stipulated clearly. If you go, there are resolutions. One of the, I couldn't lay my hands on it, but there was one of the resolutions of the United Nations where when Britain was asked, are they ready to give independence to Cameroon? Britain, the documents are there. Britain tacitly avoided to use independence, but rather say we would allow Southern Cameroon to achieve
you are trying by all means to avoid using the word independence.
Britain, okay, I got it right here. Let me bring it to you. It is, if you go, it's resolution.
Well, that would take a lot of our time. Okay. You know, no, what do you understand to be the content of 1608, UN Resolution 1608?
Resolution 1608 was an endorsement of the plebiscite of February 1961. It's clear. If you go to and read Resolution 1608, they say that they endorse.
And what was the language of the text? The language of the text specifically asks the Southern Cameroons what kind of independence they were looking for. Go also read subparagraph 5. Now let's forget about that. But the reason I asked that question is because you are trying to mix the two things. We know that there has never been a union between French Cameroon and the Southern Cameroons or Ambazonia. And when you go ahead to say you want back all that you enjoyed in 1960, you just don't want to separate from French Cameroon. The point I'm trying to make is, why do you think there was ever a union?
Secretary Chris, facts are there and it's history. In September of 1961, there was a constitution that was laid in Fumban and all the parties agreed to it. And it went into effect on the 1st of October.
No, sir, you got your history wrong there. All the parties did not agree to it. Fumban left without agreeing on that constitution. When they left, they agreed to get back. They never got back. And so that constitution was never ratified. Foncha did not sign it. Nobody in his party signed it. And so there was no constitution. I mean, you should know this. You should know this. The Southern Cameroon did not sign it. Our assembly, House of Chiefs, House of Assembly did not sign it or ratify it. It did not exist, because they never came back to meet again.
I concede that to you, but there is a point that I want to raise. You say Foncha did not sign it, but by the standing of that 1961 constitution, we were supposed to have the post of a vice president, and it so happened that Foncha was the vice president. So Foncha did not sign. So under what agreement did he become the vice president of the Federal Republic of Cameroon?
When you have a love affair with a woman, and it results to a child, does that qualify that love affair for a marriage?
In this, it's a good question. The world has evolved to the point where today civil unions are considered. You don't have to go and sign a document to claim matrimonial rights if it can be established by other means that there was some matrimony in your relationship.
Well, in our case, nothing has been established. But
we consummated. Secretary Chris, we consummated the relationship with La République du Cameroon.
What is the proof?
By us accepting to form a government of national unity with them, by us accepting to dissolve our political parties and form the Grand National Party of 1966. We can go back and prosecute all of our forebears for doing that, but unfortunately, they put us in what I would call this shithole. Now, how do we get out of it? That is the question that we're asking. How do we get out of it?
How do we get out of it is why you are here and I am here. But you are talking about an alternative that you have not yet really described what it is. All we know is you are telling us you don't want us picking up arms when a war has been declared on us. I will go back to that question. What is your alternative to an armed struggle?
My alternative to an armed struggle would be a struggle as it started even in 2016. because we were winning, and I'll quote one of your favorite guys, fat and big. That's the term they used in 2016, that we were winning fat and big when the consortium was leading the charge. And we brought Mr. Paul Biya to his knees. Because if you remember, at the very beginning of this crisis, Mr. Paul Biya sent his minister, his prime minister, they were crisscrossing, begging us, and until the point where they decided that, okay, this guy, we cannot bend them. The only thing we can do against these guys is to pull them into a terrain where we will have the upper hand over them. Mr. Biya knew very well that he has a disciplined military. He has all the power that is needed to prosecute a war against us. He pulled us into it, and we naively fell into that.
If I may ask you, what was the consortium asking for at that time, later in 2016, 2017?
The consortium started with the teachers asking for a recognition of the Anglo-Saxon system of education, and the lawyers.
And what happened with that? What did the government do?
The government, again, I can accuse the government for everything. You are right. The government was wrong. The government was dragging. The government, again, we cannot overemphasize on that. The reality is the government of Cameroon is at the very root cause of this crisis. But
thank you for that. Now, this is the point I'm driving at. The consortium demanded reforms in the educational and the legal system, and they were called names. The consortium leaders were picked up, put in jail. Some managed to escape abroad. Then later on, in 2017, they said, we're no longer asking for just reforms. We want a going back to 1961. That is a federal structure that you have been advocating for ever since. What was the response? They said federation is secession. I'm sure I'm right? Now,
you're right. You're right.
Now, the consortium transformed itself into what was then called SCACUV. SCACUV became the governing council. When it became SCACUV, the policy changed. We want our country, our rights, totally restored as from 1954 when we left Nigeria. And those of you in the Federalist movement, you got stuck with your federalism. My question to you and those of you who claim to be Federalists is, you have talked about decentralization. They are not giving you decentralization. You talk about federalism. They are not giving you federalism. What is wrong with you picking up arms to defend what you cherish?
Okay, this is what we cherish. We cherish human life more than everything. And in our model of leadership, what we do, we have the goal. We don't put the human being after the goal, or we don't put the goal before the human being. So now, there is this great goal. We want self-determination. But the self-determination is for the elevation of the human being. So should we sacrifice the human being on the altar of self-determination when we know that there are still ways where we can preserve more lives and still achieve self-determination? Ask the people.
My question then is, how are you achieving self-determination when for 4 years, you attended their so-called Grand National Dialogue, and the mention of self-determination or federalism was like an abomination to them in that place? You saw what Frondi did. When you mentioned the word federation, he was booed.
Yes. I mean, it's pathetic. And you know, what's disturbing to me at times is the way you guys have framed this struggle. It hurts me because at times I have to say things that may transpire as if I want to let the government of Cameroon off the hook. And that's never going to ever be my intention. But I am more focused, I'm more interested in the lives of every single Southern Cameroonian. And I would not I say I would never, ever endorse a struggle that will put them at a weaker position. And this struggle where now,
what would you qualify as a position of strength?
A position of strength is when we take the moral high ground. Where
to what end, to what result? You've taken the moral high ground, according to you, for the past 4 years, and what you asked for has not even as much as been recognized. Even the guy who hopes to take over control, should Biya die or leave, Kanto, does not as much, somebody in freedom does not as much as acknowledge that you, some of you out there, want a federation where you get back all the institutions you mentioned here.
Secretary Anu, let me be clear with this. We are gaining grounds. You all may not be seeing it. More of our brothers from east of the Mongo are coming to understand the essence of our struggle. Many of them are seeing federalism no more as that cut off or cut away from Cameroon, but they are seeing federalism as a form of government that will even empower them against the tyranny of that same regime that is crushing them.
I
can quote.
Again, there is a proverb in my dialect that you take a route and you stumble into a hole, you are coming back and you stumble into the same hole, you are a fool. What is happening is that Federalists are saying, give us federalism, give us federalism. And the regime you are asking federalism from has not as much as acknowledged your voices, not even at your own grand national dialogue. So how do you get federalism?
What you say seems to make a lot of sense, but when you look into the reality of it, our struggle, again, puts the human being at the front and center of everything. Now, we, in 30 years of leading our struggle, we've not lost as many people as have been lost within the last 4 years. Now, for you, how long can it take us to create one human being? If you can tell me how long it will take us to create one human being, then I will give you the benefit of the doubt that the route of killing human beings, of putting our people at risk, is a good route. But now, since we know that it will take us eternity and we'll never create one human being, then we are doing everything possible that we don't lose something that we will never be able to create.
Mr. Kennedy, you know I'm the only one asking questions here when you ask me questions. So let me talk about your the loss of human beings that you talk about here. Do you realize that the people who have been killed, the over 12,000 people who have been killed, some through maiming, some through burning, roasting, some, indescribable what has taken place in that country perpetuated by French Cameroon soldiers. Do you think those are Francophone Cameroonians? Because you don't seem to qualify them as people that matter when you say how many people will be killed. It seems as long as French Cameroon keeps on killing those people for so long as they are talking about, or some of us are talking about independence, it doesn't matter to you that, people are being killed. They are being killed because they are talking about independence. Is that what you are trying to say?
No, I'm not saying that people are being killed because they are talking about independence. It's just that we have legitimized the killing of our people. That's what I'm saying.
By doing what?
When we take arms against an army, you are legitimizing the killing of your people. We might,
Mr. Kennedy, sir, you live in a country, USA, where laws work and laws are respected. And some of those laws, as far as self-defense is concerned, says, if you should sit in your home and somebody come to attack you, to kill you, you have the right to self-defense. What do you expect Ambazonians to do? Number one, When war is declared on them, you know that November 30th, 2017, when war is declared on them, when every community settlement is turned into a military camp, what do you expect the people to do? Sit still to be killed?
Yeah, I mean, you quote very well.
Are you blaming Ambazonians for the war?
Again, your question in terms of blaming Ambazonian for the war, no, I'm not blaming Ambazonian for the war, but this is what I'll say before I continue on that point. If somebody, because you use the example, if somebody attacks your home, you have the right to self-defend. Okay, if I see somebody coming with an AK-47 to attack my home, and all what I have is a machete, once I've seen the AK-47 through my window, the Americans say you have the right to run through the back door. Run, and call the police.
America doesn't say you can defend yourself?
America said defend yourself when you're sure that you can defend yourself. So
yes.
how would you take a damn gun to defend yourself against an AK-47?
So in other words, you are saying when Biya declared war and sent in his troops, all of us, everybody in Ambazonia would have moved to Nigeria, moved to Equatorial Guinea, moved to Benin Republic, moved to Ghana, everybody, because we couldn't defend ourselves, correct?
Secretary Arno, do you really think that's what I'm saying?
Honestly, I think that's what you are saying, because you are saying we should have run away.
No, I'm not saying that we should have run away. What I'm saying is we should have, in face of the impending danger that we cannot surmount, we should have used wisdom. That's all what I'm saying. We should have used wisdom. And now, this is my greatest problem with you. Those who say, let's fight the war. You don't have no strategic alliance in terms of which country can back us or can host us. We don't have no resources to replenish our armament. So, those are critical things that you need to fight a war.
Thank you. If we had, first of all, let me say, you know that what you are referring to or describing as strategic alliances and so on and so forth, those are not things that will come and sit on television and tell people what we have. But let me ask you the question. If we had those things, if we told you we have enough guns, enough machine guns, and a wonderful strategic international alliance, would you now be for the independence of the Southern Cameroons?
I mean, you don't have to tell me. I have to see it happen. Those things.
No, you don't have to. Not everybody has to see. There are certain things that even in the interim government, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not happening. That's why I say it's not happening every day.
But if it was happening, if you knew it is there, would you now change from being a federalist to an independentist?
No, if you had all that weapon and everything, I would have told you, let's march in and free the whole of Cameroon and free the whole of Africa so that we can have
what do we have to do with what do we have to do with Africa? So I should go to Ghana and fight in Ghana when they are enjoying their democracy and their freedoms?
No, anywhere
Benin Republic, I should go there and do that?
No, now you brought a hypothetical and I responded with a hypothetical because you said if it was hypothetical. I could have told you that I will not respond to a hypothetical question, but gave you a hypothetical scenario. If we have that real manpower to fight, I will tell you, let's free the whole of Cameroon.
All right, listen, let's get into this grand national dialogue subject a little bit here. In one of the footages that I just played, you talked about the need for Ambazonians to be united. And you emphasize that we should work as one. You emphasize that, and then when it came to this so-called grand national dialogue, the overwhelming majority of Ambazonians said they are not endorsing this grand national dialogue because there is no guarantee that it is going to give us what we want. Not necessarily independence, but everybody thought, number one, a genuine grand national dialogue should take place in a neutral ground so that somebody like me will feel comfortable going there. It should have a neutral mediator so that somebody like me or the interim government or any other Amazonian group can have the confidence that they are going to sit down to listen to genuine solutions. This never happened. And you said we're supposed to go there as one, and others said we are not going, but you went there. I'd like you to tell Amazonians, how did you get there?
Yeah, as Secretary Chris Arnold, this is what is clear. If there is something that I regret, I know you characterize my my opinion about what happened as regret. I saw that was your opinion.
Okay.
But however, if there's something that I say I regret, is the fact that you were not there. The Ejacha'S were not there. President Sako was not there. You know, I regret that fact. And you rightly place, I mean, you hit the right button when you say they should have organized this in a neutral ground that would have, I mean, given you the guarantee of safety to be there. That would have been the ideal. But, you know, we are operating in a world where everything is not ideal, and we try to make the best out of whatever situation presents itself. So when we were going there, we were not going thinking that we would go and shake a magical wand and transform this situation. We were going
before we get there. Before we get there, I'd like to ask you, under what platform? Under what platform?
Let me just finish.
All right,
yes,
go ahead.
When we went there, we went in the hope that we are starting a process that would have ushered in so many great things. And I regret that that's not what is happening. But again, I am very positive about the fact that it was a great thing that we had that major national dialogue.
Thank you. Now, you went there. I would like to know what platform took you there. Were you invited by the government, or I mean, how did you get to be a delegate at this convention?
Yes, I mean, and I'm going to be very transparent on this because
you have not been transparent in the past hours. Well, go ahead and be transparent, please.
As usual, I'm going to be transparent. You know, because when I say this, it's an emphasis that I want to lay, please. And the emphasis is on the fact that I'm going to say things that normally I shouldn't say. That's why I make that emphasis. So I received a call from the Director of Cabinet of the Prime Minister one Saturday. I was doing shopping with my spouse. I never even knew who he was. And then he introduced himself. They had sent me an email. The funniest thing is that the email that was sent, saying that they are inviting me to a grand dialogue, it had a very funny name. I didn't know the name. I never replied. So the Director of Cabinet of the Prime Minister then called me. I don't know how he got my number, but however, he called me and said they have been waiting for my reply to an email that was sent. I said, oh yeah, I received the email, but I don't know who this person is. And how do I even confirm that you are the Director of Cabinet of the Prime Minister? He said, hold on. Then he passed the phone to somebody that I know who was in his office. And the person confirmed to me. Then I told the Director of Cabinet, give me 24 hours, let me consult with my family and everything. And that's how I got the invitation, and I thought it through. It was an opportunity for me because those that have been following me would know that since 2016, I have been clamoring for Mr. Paul Biya to convene Cameroonians, especially those of Southern Cameroons, to come on the table and let's discuss and chart a way. We have been hitting hard on, we need a major national dialogue. So when this, I think maybe that's the reason why they called me, because I've been very vocal on that. And that's how I found myself.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Matthew, on the list that I had, you not even suspect some people names that I got that finally did not even make it because there was a mistake, and I'm going to keep that for my historical record. There was a mistake from the civil cabinet of the presidency. They sent out an email blast with everybody's name on it. So
so you are saying you probably got it by mistake?
No, I'm saying that they should have used BCC, blind copy. They instead used CC, such that I saw the same people that were being invited for that conference. And there are many people out there clamoring, saying Ambazonian, this but they had that invitation, the final invitation.
Now,
which
when you
after
left,
you accept.
when you left Washington, D.C. for that national dialogue, what did you have in mind as a contribution you were taking in there?
Yeah, my contribution, what I was taking in was
Yes.
federalism. So, federalism because of self-determination. We were going, and in my mind, I was going to canvass with other people, because when I got some of the other people that were going there, we called ourselves, we said, okay, we will lobby, we will fight hard for a return to the 1961 as the starting point for any meaningful conversation. That is what we had agreed, and that's what I went in for. 1961 as a starting point for meaningful conversation.
So, when you went in there with federation in mind, and the topic became a taboo, if I were you, I would walk out. You never did that.
I'm not. That's not my nature to walk out. Honestly, that's not just my nature. I would always stand until I can comfortably say that I exhausted every ounce of opportunity that I had to make my point known. And whatever you guys may say, but we should acknowledge something. The presence of the diaspora at this major national dialogue caused boundaries to be shifted.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. What new has come? I mean, what new has been done? Coming out from the national dialogue, the so-called special status. Did you endorse the special status?
I didn't endorse the special status because.
So how then can you say there has been this great shift? If the major reform that came out of there, you didn't even endorse it because you didn't like it. What is a shift?
I mean, again, in situations like this, you want to make concessions that don't compromise your ideology. To me, the special status could have been a concession that does not compromise my position as a federalist, because I very much hope that the special status would have given the opportunity to Mr. Paul Biya to put in a content that would have appeased us, the Anglophones.
Why should Mr. Paul Biya, I mean, you are an educated, intelligent gentleman, sir. How would an intelligent gentleman yourself say one person sits in his office and decide what your rights are for 8 million people? How can you even alter this kind of statement?
No. When I say Paul Biya, I look at the institution of the executive, because in Cameroon, let's accept this. They are the ones who most of the time are at the origin of legislative maneuvers. Just as
but that doesn't make it right. That is why Cameroon has been fighting for themselves for years. Because remember again, when I asked you what did the consortium want in 2016, we mentioned educational and legal reforms and then the rest. We have been asking for these things for years, and that same one man would not affix his signature to any piece of paper that grants the people those reforms. And here, there is a special status that you did not endorse, but you hope that one man will just sit up there and endorse it.
I mean, I'm very, and I said, that's what I said in Cameroon, that I was cautiously optimistic. I was, and I've always been cautiously optimistic that things will change, not because they want them to change. We don't minimize the pressure that you're making. Secretary Chris, I don't minimize the pressure that you guys are putting. Just maybe because of what you guys are doing, which unfortunately we shouldn't have gotten there, we don't minimize that.
Why not then join us and add to this pressure? They say two hands tie a bundle.
No, I mean, you guys can join us So we train the others and we continue the fight.
You admire what we are doing, but we should join you.
I don't admire what you guys are doing, but I acknowledge.
No, you acknowledge it. Okay, that is better.
Yes, I acknowledge the fact that what you guys are doing cannot be minimized. That's the truth.
Thank you. I take that. Now, you know that the Grand National Dialogue has failed because I had a conversation with you last evening and you said to me you were invited, you went, and nothing came out of it. So we can summarily say the Grand National Dialogue has failed. The special status, even if they did their best, I don't think we will still not accept it because no one person has the right to define the right and the form of state for 8 million people. So the Grand National Dialogue has failed. The special status is not good. Nobody accepts it. Even the international observers, they don't accept it. So it is just the same game again.
Unfortunately,
if I may ask you, what honestly would you do at this point to see that this conflict is resolved?
Now, what I'll do is I'll tell Anglophones to march towards an AAC3. Let's have an AAC3 where we will have all Anglophones meeting together, be it Ambazonian, be it Federalist, be it centrist.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Let's all meet together because once we start talking to each other, our adversary, who is the system and not Francophone, the adversary would catch a cold. The only thing that is making the adversary do whatever he wants to do today is because we are in dispersed rank. Ambazonia want to kill SDF.
I think
want to kill other Ambazonians.
Let me ask you this question. We were discussing the SDF from the beginning of this conversation, and you know that when you say we should begin to talk to ourselves, and we have tried to sit down to discuss with the SDF. We have said to the SDF, pull out your parliamentarians, and every other Southern Cameroon's parliamentarian, CPDM, senator, should also pull out of that place. And they have chosen their belly. They have chosen their families. They have chosen money over the suffering people out there on ground zero. How do you broker a conversation with people that are not even willing to do the first thing that is right? How do you do that?
Secretary Arno, I bet a little bit to differ with you on that because the facts point to something different. You know, it was, the progress is even such that I saw a senator of the CPDM, is in Belamuki, in the floor of the Senate when they were debating on that special status thing. He was very vocal. Isn't that progress? And again, I don't know why you all keep accusing the SDF because the chants that you chant on the street.
What you saw Belamuki doing there, we call it drama. Pandering to the masses. If it hurt him so much what he was witnessing there, why didn't he resign? Some others resign. I give you the example of your party member, Awudu Cyprian. He resigned. Honorable Weber, he resigned. Others stepped away. Why did the rest not pull out so that we can begin to talk together? I cannot come sit down talking with you when I know you are dining with my enemy.
No, Secretary, resignation is an option amongst many other options that can be used.
But again, if you will not resign, how do you expect us to talk and then you leave our talks, go back to the other side and betray everything?
Let me ask you something. When you see as a group of Cameroonians in the National Assembly of Cameroon singing, how many people Pobia go kill? How many people Pobia go kill? What do you think about that?
Again, that was also stage managed because I really think, honestly, if any of them singing that song was serious, they would have left that place. How can you imagine? How can you imagine? A war has been raging in your part of the country for 2 years, and the same parliament, the same Senate has not as much as called for a single hearing to find out solutions for the conflict. And would that happen in this country where you live, in the USA?
I mean, it would not happen in this country, but things are happening.
So why can't we emulate good things?
Things are happening in this country that we would never have believed that they will happen, just like the hearing that you just
no, that is not a good comparison. That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about people who hold the liberties of 8 million people in their hands.
But now, where is the fault of the SDF when we saw that the SDF held grounds? The SDF did everything in Parliament to make sure that they talk about the issues of the Anglophone. They have
the problem with the SDF. The problem with the SDF goes back to your point. Why can't we, Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, talk together, reason together? And the question is, how do we reason together, come together, talk together when I know you are in the camp of my enemy, of the enemy, our common enemy, and you know he is the enemy?
No, we are not. We are not in the camp of the enemy. Being a Cameroonian, saying that I'm a Cameroonian does not make me part of that regime.
Who paid your hotel for the Grand National Dialogue?
I went to the Grand National Dialogue. You saw, everybody saw what I said.
No, who paid your hotel for the Grand National Dialogue?
Oh,
and yes.
My hotel was paid by the government of Cameroon that invited me.
Okay.
You had, wait, Secretary Chris, just as you had guys that went to Swiss and they were paid 5,000 euro for the Swiss store. Wait now, should I blame them?
No, you got that wrong. Whoever informed you got that completely wrong.
No. Those that went to
completely wrong, because I know I didn't go to Swiss. No. I know exactly what happened in Swiss.
No, Secretary Chris, when I accept what I do, let's take ownership of what we do. I will not tell you that I paid my flight. Let those that went to Swiss not tell us that they paid their flight, they paid their hotel bills, and they paid everything. They went there. We are not, the problem is not who paid to go there, but is what did they go and do there. So why would you be prosecuting me for accepting an invitation and everything that will make the invitation possible? That's the same thing that you do to the Swiss guys. We don't blame the Swiss guys for going there for accepting.
The problem with what you did and you and others did in Yaoundé again is that the overwhelming majority of your constituency said this thing is no good and nobody should go and endorse it. Now you went there and today you are saying you regret that it happened, it turned out the way it turned out. Nobody here is regretting what happened in Swiss. Don't you see the difference?
Okay, now, I don't regret going to Yaoundé. If Mr. Biya invites me today to come tomorrow, I'll call my employer and ask for permission and go back to Cameroon to go and continue the unfinished work. Now, I can have regrets as to the outcomes that do not meet my expectations. That's where my regret is. But in terms of going to the Grand National Dialogue, that was something that was great. And that's why the international community is using that as a tool to beckon the government to act good. That's why, again, I'll take for example, and I mean, in all fairness, there are many Ambazonians who are attacking those who went or those who are endorsing the Swiss talk. But does it make the good intention of those who went to Swiss evil? No. But you always have people like
that. Well, Mr. Kennedy, let me take you to a different question because we are just going round and round this particular question now. Let me ask you, and I'd like you to look at your camera straight eyeball to eyeball and tell Amazonians, tell me, forget about how it is, how we are trying to achieve it. Do you support a free and independent Amazonia?
What I support is Southern Cameroonians who have the full rights to self-determination within a federated system in Cameroon.
So, I get you, but what is wrong if Southern Cameroonians got their own country?
Nothing is wrong with that.
You will move to Yaoundé?
I mean, I'm in America, not because I don't want to be Cameroonian.
So if we get independence, the Southern Cameroons should get independence. How will you feel that you have been in opposition on the wrong side all along?
This is what, let's say I am La République. When you get the Republic of Amazonia, if ever you get it, are you going to exclude all people from La République? No, I will try to get a visa to come there. If that's what it will take me to come.
That's a good idea. You get your visa and you come there.
I'll go to your embassy and get a visa to come and live there because I love that place. That's where my parents come from. So if you want to exclude me from it, by visa, I could still come there. That's my motherland, my fatherland that I'll never give away.
So, do you support the struggle on ground zero? When I talk about support, I mean you have boys who are defending the territory. You don't believe in what they are doing, but there is still a lot to be supported on ground zero. How do you support, besides your advocacy, what do you really do to see your own aspirations come true right now at this moment on ground zero?
Yeah, there are internally displaced people in ground zero. I'm part of a group that is supporting those internally displaced. We are preparing some materials I will send, but it's not sugarcane and granite because
you are part of you hail from Ingi. I don't know, is Ingi in Njikwa subdivision?
Njikwa local government division. Ingi is a subdivision of its own.
Okay. So are you enrolled in the Ingi local government area supporting the people of Ingi during this time of crisis?
No, I'm a member of the Ngi family meeting, which is apolitical, which has nothing to do with politics, with fighting, with that. I'm a member of that meeting, and we contribute to sustain our family members who are internally displaced.
All right. I will open the phone lines, and I see my phones have been ringing here like crazy. I will open the phone lines. Let's take a few callers and hear what they have to say, the question they have to say. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have to make a phone call here, you must make sure your television set, the volume of your set is turned down. If I pick your call and your television set is echoing in the background, I will just drop your call because so many people on the line, they want to call, they want to speak. So I won't waste time with anybody who calls and the television volume is so high up in the background. So please, if you are calling, turn down the volume of your set. Okay, let me see who is the first caller here. My phone has been ringing crazy. The first caller is from ground zero. Hello, sir.
Hello.
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 Yes, sir. May I know where you are calling from, please?
Yeah, I'm calling from ground zero, precisely from Noni country.
Noni country. Okay, thanks for calling, sir. What is your question or what is your comment? You have just 50 seconds.
Yes, my comment My concern is very clear. That Mr. Kennedy is just flipping around the bush. I don't want you to talk to people like that. What caused the first federation to fail? Why did the first so-called federation fail? If last week they killed my brother in Lassen, a soldier from La Republic killed my brother 2 days ago in Lassen. Let him come and sit here. Let him come and sit in Amazonia here in Zanzibar and fight. He's talking because he's living in affluence in Europe. Let him come and sit here and fight with us. I'm just a mere farmer, and I'm contributing more than what he. There are federalists who are sitting in Commission Avenue as I hear in Bermuda, who cannot even afford the 10 francs for the war, and he's doing trash there. Why did the first federation fail? Let him come and sit and fight with us here.
All
they
right.
killed my brother 2 days ago in Lassen, and then they shot my brother in May with bullets in the mouth. They put my bullet in my brother's mouth and the son.
All right.
Soldiers, La Republic soldiers.
All right, thank you.
My brother's mouth and scatter him to pieces. What is he sitting there talking? He should go to hell.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I got your point. I got your point. I will give him a few seconds to respond to you. Mr. Kennedy, you hear this gentleman very, very bitter, very bitter because they think you do not understand what they are going through in that country. I give you 50 seconds to respond to him.
Well, my condolences to him. I can understand his frustration with the loss of his brother. I mean, he has lost his brother. I have not lost a brother, so I cannot really feel in real terms the pains. But we are in all of this together. I have my fight that I'm leading, and I believe that we should have been out of this war. We shouldn't have even been in the war in the first place, and we can still obtain our self-determination through a federal system. It's not because the first one failed that we cannot fix it. How many times have things failed?
But don't you understand? But again, you don't seem to understand. We are going to take quite a number of calls, and you will agree from those number of calls. I don't select them. They just come in, I pick whoever comes first, I pick. But you will, listening to those calls, agree with me that the overwhelming majority of Amazonians are fed up with any form of federation. Why can't you understand, see their pain? Let me take the next caller, please. Hello.
Yeah, Secretary Chris, good afternoon, and good afternoon to Mr. Kennedy Ejacha'S, as he called himself, but I heard he's a reverend. Good afternoon to you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, Secretary Chris, I will crave your indulgence that you give me a bit of time to get to ask some few questions to Mr. Ejacha'S.
1 minute.
To respond.
1 minute. I want to take as many calls as possible.
Thank you. The very first thing I want to say is that Mr. Kennedy is a pastor, as I heard, but he failed to understand the Bible the way the Bible is supposed to be. There is a Psalm, I think it's 149, that talks about the sons of Jericho, or the sons of Israel, to get their swords, spears, and whatever thing, and march on to smash the walls of Jericho, and the Lord will protect them. But Mr. Ejacha'S seems not to understand that. Secondly, Mr. Ejacha'S talks about the SDF and power to the people. I want to ask him this very important question. If the SDF respect power to the people, did you, Mr. Ejacha'S, saw the population that was out in the streets of the Southern Cameroons on the 22nd of September 2017 and again on the 1st of October 2017, were those people forced out by the barrel of the gun?
That's a very vital question.
Why should that assertion that people South Carolina are forced by the barrel of the gun to fight for their freedom, instead of which the case is the vice versa? Over to you.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, please.
Yes, I mean,
1 minute to respond.
On that very fateful day that he's talking about in September, if he remembers very well, the SDF members of parliament were at the front of that crowd. The national chairman of the SDF was there. That same crowd that he's talking about, just to tell him that we are in this thing together. We've been there, and we're not going to abdicate.
Did you hear him when he asked, what do you make? What do you make of the thousands, hundreds of thousands of Ambazonians who stepped out with palm fronds on September 22nd and October 1st, 2018? What do you make of that? I think it was 2017, if I'm not wrong.
17 years.
Yes, 17. So what do you make of that turnout?
I mean, there is exasperation. When these guys turn out, they didn't turn out to fight a war. That's the truth. They turned out
what were they asking for, sir? What do they want?
They were asking for their right to self-determination.
Correct. They were asking for their own country.
No, not their own country.
No. They were asking for their own country. Didn't you see the flag? Didn't you hear them sing the anthem? What were they asking for? They were asking for their own country, and I guess the question would be, why can't you guys understand this?
I mean, again, if we can revisit those images, it's going to be clear that you would see there were members of parliament from the SDF who were in there leading the charge.
They fooled the people that they were resigning. Mbandam stepped out and told the people he is for the people, he is for the Southern Cameroons, he is for Ambazonia. He's not going back to Yaoundé because the people don't want him there anymore. He sneaked into Yaoundé, went back into parliament. Anyways, we're not going to get an answer from you, but let's get the next question, please. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Kennedy. Let me ask you a question.
May I know who's calling? May I know where you're calling from, please?
I'm calling from Fairfax, Virginia.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, ask the question.
And Kennedy, you say you want us to live within a federal system with La République. Why don't you believe that you, Kennedy, as any other francophone, can rule your own country? Why are you so lack of self-confidence that you want francophones to rule over you?
That's a good question.
With all the education and experience that you have in the United States, you have no self-confidence that you can run a country called Southern Cameroon or Ambazonia. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. Please, Mr. Kennedy, the microphone is yours to attempt an answer.
Yes, Chairman Ni John Frundi won the presidential elections in Cameroon in 1992, and he won that election without speaking French in any one of his rallies, and he got voted by the majority of Cameroonians. But the results were overturned by the tyranny in Yaoundé, which we consider to be the problem of Cameroon.
But his question is, why don't you think that you can rule, can self-govern your own country? That is the question.
I mean, this befits my imagination. If every problem, if every social problem, political problem has to be resolved by seceding, even when you have your Ambazonian, your northern zone, when there will be a crisis, your northern zone will feel that they can also have their own country from the southern zone. And then one day, Bamenda will think that they can exist away from Jakiri, and that's how it
Why do you even imagine that? Why do you even imagine that? Why hasn't French Cameroon broken up into that balkanization? Why do you only think that the northern zone, the southern zone will do this, will do that? We are English people, and I bet you when we get our country, we have the best democratic system that you can imagine anywhere in all of Africa. Anyway, let me get to the next caller, please. Thanks for the question, for the answer. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, Secretary Chris. This is Ochiwa Nelson calling from Los Angeles.
Thank you, sir. What is your question? You have 1 minute.
And thank you for bringing Kennedy there, because these are the kind of people who have been running away from Abdul Karim. I'm surprised Kennedy doesn't know the difference between self-defense and decentralization. So, and he is unable to tell us the reason why he thinks Southern Cameroon cannot fit and survive as an independent country. And he's saying that we cannot fight the Republic military, which is a well-disciplined and trained. If we could not fight the Republic, how can the war that was meant to last for 2 weeks is now going into the 4th year? And what does Kennedy mean by discipline the Republic military? The military that kill people, young children, genocide, whatsoever? And let me ask Mr. Kennedy something else. Can he explain to us the reason why United Nations gave Paul Biya 2 maps on the 10th of in 2010 on the occasion of the 50th celebration of being together? Why did they give Paul Biya 2 maps? And let me tell Mr. Kennedy that even if we give SDF 170 parliamentarians opposed to 10 Francophone parliamentarians, all decisions taken in parliament, like in the national dialogue, they have to go to the presidency, and the presidency will alter them and change them again to his own detriment, like he's now regretting.
All right, so that you can remember your question. Let's cut it short. Thanks for the call, Mr. Kennedy.
I mean, please help me, because he made a lot of affirmations that that are incongruent. So what should I be answering? He said they gave Mr. Paul Biya 2 months in 2010, and then we are today 10 years away from that. What is the 2 months for? I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and because people have been miseducated and misinformed, the reality is our people are dying in drone numbers, and they're dying not just only because of today. They're dying not just only because of what Mr. Paul Biya is doing. They're dying because amongst ourselves,
who has the solution? Who has the solution to stop the dying? Who?
Mr. Paul Biya has the solution.
So why are you holding the people who are defending themselves responsible?
But Mr. Paul Biya invited us to a grand national dialogue. Some of you.
But you agreed with me that the composition was wrong and none of us could go there. You only went there because they know you enough to pay your hotel and pay your air ticket.
No, Mr. Chris, you had an invitation for that.
No, I didn't. Honestly, I didn't have an invitation. Maybe my name was mentioned in some newspaper, but I didn't have any invitation. But even if I had one,
I take it from you.
Even if I had one, even if I had one, knowing who the leaders in that country are, why would I even waste my time going there? Well, let's take it a second. Let's take the next caller,
Mr. Chris, before you take that caller,
okay.
You played my videos of 2013 and everything. So before many people even started talking, I was already in the red list of that government, and I'm not yet out of that red list.
All right, well, I don't think you are on the red list, because if you were on the red list, you wouldn't take a plane from America to Yaoundé when you're on the red list, right? Let me get the next question. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Hello, where are you calling from, please?
Yeah, I'm calling from the United Kingdom.
Okay, and what is the question, sir, or the comment? You have 50 seconds.
Yeah, the comment is just directly to Pastor Kennedy. I will just be very frank with him and his group, the so-called Federalist. The Southern Cameroonians have projected them so much so that they think that through this struggle, they will make themselves known. Pastor Kennedy has been doing whatever he's been doing. No one in La Republic has ever noticed him. We have brought this struggle up to this level. They thought with his group that they will leave the diaspora, go and display themselves on TV, and CRTV should interview them, and they wear them coats. They feel they are doing something for Southern Cameroonians. They were just being selfish for themselves. All of them, they know it, and they are regretting it now. I will still put it back onto him that the Southern Cameroonians have projected them. They've made all the noise they've made. They've made themselves known by every other person. They've shown themselves on TV, and that is exactly what they wanted. And
all
they
right.
knew that they would not achieve anything from that deep in them. So they are all wicked. I put it there, all of them that left the diaspora and went to that so-called dialogue, they are all wicked, and they know that deep into them. Sorry to say that, Pastor Kennedy, you are a wicked person deep in you. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. Thank you for the call.
But Mr. Secretary Chris, let me just
sir.
say something to this. Yes, to this gentleman. Let him understand that at the age of 17, I was already on national television in Cameroon with my own show. That's clear. Let him understand that I was the first Anglophone voice. And I say this, the researchers can come back. I was the first English voice on private radio in Cameroon. We launched private radio in Cameroon. I've been in the media, and I think you went on my Facebook page. You saw my political debate when I was in Cameroon at the age of 22, standing against the guys of the CPDM in CRTV, spitting fire. So this thing that we're doing is not grandstanding. If somebody wanted to project himself, it's not me. Because
the problem, why people think...
Let me just say this so it can clarify the situation. Again, I am the first Cameroonian to come up on social media, first Cameroonian activist to have a video on social media in 2012. Did you play a video of me of 2013 on social media? 2013, tell that young man. So let's not take this thing personal. It's not grandstanding. It's not talking on television
if I may ask you, yeah, I believe you probably believe in what you are doing, but you know also that you are on the wrong side of the issues. Now, do you consider yourself a Southern Cameroonian?
Yes, I'm a Southern Cameroonian.
I have taken a look at the videos that you have on the social media. They are 95% in French.
Mm-hmm.
How come?
Yes, it's a conscious decision that I took.
Why?
You're a pastor. You are a pastor. There are moments when you say you don't preach to the church. You don't preach to the church. That's my concept. Now, if everybody else was at the same pace with the Southern Cameroonians, Cameroon would have been better. So from my analysis, I understood, why should I be preaching to the church? I have to go out of the church and preach to the non-convert, to the non-converts. That's what I'm doing.
So you think that your own people don't need to know what you are saying? The other guy who is your enemy should hear it.
Okay, now what are the things that I'm saying?
I can't tell you because I don't understand French.
Okay, yeah, yes.
I was going through the archives of your videos,
you need to
and I almost didn't get one to listen to because almost everything is French.
We started by talking to the Anglophones. That's where we started. We started our gospel of federalism to the Anglophones, and the Anglophones they already caught wind of it. They already know the in and out of it. So now what next? It is very strategic.
All right. Let's get the next caller. Let's get the next caller.
To those that need a message.
Let's get the next caller. Hello, sir.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. 5 on 5. May I know where you're calling from, please?
I'm calling from Pennsylvania. This is Jackson Umekai.
All right. Thank you. What is your question, sir?
Yeah, I just have one simple question for Pastor Kennedy Ejacha. Yeah, because he is very much against self-defense and the struggle for independence. And he is living in the United States. My question to him is, does he know the history of the United States? Does he know how much and how many people died during the United States quest for independence from Great Britain? And does he think that just talking, the benefits, his ability to talk today in the United States, does he know that lies on the back of so many people that fought the United States War of Independence? Is he conscious of it? That's just one question I want to answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, the microphone is yours, sir.
Yes, I'll tell Mr. Umeka Jackson this very clearly. The United States of America is not yet perfect. If you go back and you see there's so many constituencies here in the United States that are still fighting, they think they're not reaping from the benefits of the liberty and everything that's in the United States. Every situation is perfectible. And there are some specificities with the situation in the United States that will be unattainable with the situation in Cameroon. So we cannot mix things. The United States did not have to deal with an English-French dichotomy that we are dealing with. That's already one big difference that exists, and then we can name differences in the two. But the bottom line is we're fighting for freedom. And we will not withdraw from that fight.
Okay, let me take the next caller. Hello.
Hello, Secretary Chris. Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am. May I know where you're calling from, please?
Yes, I am calling in the northern zone of the Lion's Den.
Okay, glad to hear that. What is your question or comment?
In fact, I'm so aware with the show of today. I've gathered the courage to call you because I've always been afraid, given where I am found.
Okay.
My problem or my comment is this to this your panel or whosoever. What is his problem if Southern Cameroon is given independence? If he does not love independence, he can just stay quiet and wait for those who want independence. He should allow people to make choice of what is good for them. They launched SDF, I was informed, to Ejacha'S Bambui, 1990, I think so. Up to today. The first election, which was in 19, what I've forgotten, I was in Bolova, which I voted. Since that, you have never put any vote in the box again because they will never count it. People have been suffering and suffering and suffering. Now, it may be God has decided that they should go through this way and let these people get out of this place. What is the problem with these Federalist people? What is the problem? If you do not want independence, please allow those who want independence to fight for their independence. And I don't know whether you are living in the United States. What do you gain from that La Republic government called Biya'S, so-called? And then secondly, Secretary Chris, there is something I've been doubting and asking the questions in me, whether we are looking for strategies to win the war, whatsoever we can do. I know that our people are really suffering, but it's a war, we have no choice. I was doubting that if we could add Tuesday on regular Monday, lockdown until Sunday, how will it look like? Thank you very much.
Thank you. You are such an eloquent, articulate lady, Amber lady out there. Thank you. Thank you for the call. About adding another ghost day on Tuesday is something that the interim government will look into. If necessary, we will take that decision. But until then, let me get back to Mr. Kennedy here. My brother, you hear that lady? You hear people calling, they are overwhelmed, they are disappointed that an intelligent person like you who doesn't even live in that damn country would not sit here and advocate for them. Don't you care for these people? Don't you hear their voices?
I mean, I hear their voices, and that's why we are advocating for them.
We're losing your microphone. I don't know why.
Are you getting me?
That's a little better. Thank you.
Yes. We are continuing we are fighting for all of them. The only thing is, we are saying this. There is no reason for us to want to tear down Cameroon while there is a way where
if that is what you believe, they are saying to you that is not what they want. That is a problem.
Okay. Well, they're free to their opinion. There are many like me out there, who still believe in Cameroon. And that's why we are fighting.
Yes, of course. You will always have a little minority that believes differently. But the question is, people like you with a voice, if you added your voice to the voice of the majority, imagine the difference. Imagine the difference that it can make. Why can't you understand what the people are saying to you?
No, the world doesn't operate like that. And I come back again to this point. If we think that we can resolve crisis by saying, let's separate, let's divorce, every time that the husband and the wife has a problem, it's divorce, then marriage will never exist. Then nations will never exist. Because by the time California has a problem in America, California will say, oh no, we are seceding. Texas will say they are seceding. No, that's not how they solve problems. We acknowledge that there are problems. And we have to fight to resolve this problem in the structures that do exist.
Where we started this broadcast, this interview, talking about democracy, talking about the SDF, power to the people. I am so amazed that only so soon that those of you who sang power to the people only a few years ago have now just forgotten about the same power to the people. Look at those images of September 22nd, October 1st, 2017. Isn't that what you should consider power to the people? But let me take the next caller, please. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Hello. May I know where you're calling in from, please?
Oh, my name is Samuel. I'm calling from Oslo in Norway.
Oslo in Norway. Good to hear from you. And what is the question or the comment?
Yes, I just have a few observations to make.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank Pastor Ejacha'S for coming into the Lion's Den to educate Amazonians about many issues back home. I want to go further by making some observations. First of all, Chris Anu, you mentioned somewhere along the interview that you insinuated that some Cameroonians, when Pastor mentioned Atanganji and Jangute and all those, you mentioned that they are married. Those people are married to Francophones.
Correct.
And you sort of insinuated that they might somewhat be bad because they are married to Francophones. But I'm surprised that this came from you, knowing that your own people, your President Sako, your so-called President Sako, and many others, Buhabert, the Capotanes, and so many of you people are also married to Francophones. Do you think Sako is a bad man?
Okay. Hold on. Yes. I'm not going to drop your call. Ladies and gentlemen, I have heard this myth out there again and again and again that President Sako is married to a Francophone. Please. Even Pastor Kennedy know that Reverend Sako, Dr. Sako is not married to a Francophone. Please. So that is a wrong premise. Dr. Sako is not married to a Francophone. He is married to Amazonian, and my comrade Kennedy here can attest to that. Does that make sense to you, sir?
Okay, I might be wrong on that. I don't know. I don't
know.
You
are absolutely wrong. You know, people are out there propagating that piece of information. It's not true. It's not true.
Okay, but the point is, there are so many Amazonians. For example, would you say Buhabert is not also married to a Francophone? Because I heard him say on video.
Buhabert may be married to a Francophone, but he is not on the wrong side of the issues.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that
we did not say people are evil because they are married to Francophones. We say they are evil because they are on the wrong side of issue. Tell me, is Atanganji on the right side? Is Mbandam on the right side? Is Dion Ngute on the right side?
You brought up the issue of marriage when
I didn't bring it up. We were referencing it to something else. Anyway, thanks for the call. It doesn't appear that you have a question to ask. I appreciate your call, sir.
Okay, let me just, Secretary Sako, let me say.
Yes, go ahead, please.
That's why you see, I understand my brother who is calling from Norway. There's a lot of rumors, misinformation, and miseducation that's going on out there. And we should really we should already speak the truth at all time, because truth is what is going to free us. And again, I think.
What is it? What do you mean by truth? What is the truth according to you, sir?
I mean, I know Mr. Sako is married to a Southern Cameroonian.
Right.
But there's information out there that he isn't. Just like there are so many things that people will say about us that is irrelevant to the struggle, even if Sako was married to.
Well,
and I think that's the point that he's trying to
if you say things that they say about you are wrong, it's understandable. But when you say they are irrelevant to the struggle, no, they cannot be irrelevant to the struggle when they are essentially pushing your leaning in this struggle. Anyway, let's get the next question. I'm going to round this up in the next. We're going to round this up in the next 8 minutes. Let's get 2 more calls, please. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Secretary Chris.
Yes, good evening. Where are you calling from?
Yes, good evening, sir. I call from Gi.
Oh, wow. You're calling from Gi.
Yes, sir.
Are you very sure you're calling from Gi?
Yes, I call from Gi.
All right. What is your question, sir?
Okay, thank you, sir. I don't want to talk for Kennedy, because I don't notice this Kennedy for a very long time. I don't see it make it talk from channel to channel. I don't realize that this man, a man with the call himself say pastor, but he talk with very bad faith. These people, they think only about themselves. If he talk say this, so if you be say any marriage, say if you be say anytime we put for marriage problem come, no more separate. You know, no say for marriage, when married they so red line there way some partner go cross and wait divorce must come. You know, sabi so. You don't know history for Cameroon. Since we will join this union, since we la Republic start oppressive from day one, even French are the way they be join they don't give up for the union. Even if when they claim say they for SDF, if you be a transparent person, the Republic cheat SDF for presidential election, the Republic don't deny say we not be as human beings, we must be under them. You never say and say enough is enough. Why it must still try for push we move be like so not be human being them? Why it is fight against the population? Why this Kennedy wicked so? You call yourself a man of God, why you wicked so? You didn't even see Paul they kill all our people them. You know, you get even pity. You did sit down accuse now Amber boys that innocent people they defend themselves. What is wrong with you? Even for Bible, you know, besides people that be fight for justice.
All right.
Man, Jesus, what kind of wicked person is this?
All right. Thank you. Mr. Kennedy, that is from your own neck of the wood right there in Gi. I mean, don't you get...
Unya acquis, bottle. Let's take it. I mean, I understand the pain. I understand how difficult and how challenging it is. It is out of love, and it is out of my humanism. And I'm not saying that the Ambazonians that are carrying guns to fight are not humanists, you know. But this is a point that I am making. We all agree, and Mr. Chris, Secretary Chris Anu there is going to agree with me that a lot of thugs have integrated amongst the Ambazonians and they are killing Ambazonians.
But that is the same question that the caller is raising. Your French Cameroon troops are killing Ambazonians and you don't care.
No, we don't say that we don't care. We care.
You are saying saying Ambazonians are killing Ambazonians. Of course, you expect some rook elements to be in a struggle like this one. But when a professional military moves into a community and burn down houses, burn down whole communities, burn down people, I haven't heard you challenge them.
Oh no, no, Secretary Chris. Wherever that has happened, in unequivocal terms, we have condemned it. And I stand here to say we condemn any extrajudicial killing, any killing of civilians. But if people are armed, and they have weapons, and they are killed, it is in the field of battle.
But what about people who are not armed? What about little kids? teenagers and babies who are not carrying arms, who don't have the power to carry arms.
Condemn that, and some of them are even also killed.
When are you going to say to the regime, enough is enough? Stop killing my people. I can no longer defend you.
No, we've already told them. The cardinal, Christian Toomey, has said that.
But you have not said that. Your voice will matter a lot. This is your own countryman calling and telling you. Why can't you understand their pain?
No, I have understood and I have told them the killing we condemn, and we are saying, please, can we drop our guns and go back and fight on the moral high ground? Can we drop those guns? I mean, I don't understand. We don't have the guns.
Who should drop the guns? Who should drop the guns?
Civilians should drop the guns.
But the government should not. The government should not pull out. You should be saying a lot of the public should pull out, because you know if they pull out, Ambazonians have nobody to fight.
I mean, let the military go to the military barracks. Let civilians go back to their homes. And
all right, let's take the last caller for the day. Let's get the last caller for the day. Hello.
Hello, Secretary Chris.
Hello, ma'am. May I know where you're calling from, please?
I'm calling from Ground Zero.
Where on Ground Zero? What zone?
From Momo County.
Momo County. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot of Momo today.
Yes, I'm in fact really surprised to hear Pastor Kennedy talk the way he's talking. I want to believe that he doesn't really know what the people are going through. That's why he's saying what he's saying. If we look at, I heard him talking about the parliamentarian, Belamuki, and the others, what they did in the parliament. Does he remember what happened in the parliament in Enugu? Does he think if the Belamukis and the SDF parliamentarians behave the way the parliamentarians behaved in Enugu, does he think he will not help us better? And then the next question is, he is saying that if he is called to go back by Biya, he was to go by Biya. If he's called by Biya, he will go back. And he claims to be in the danger list. Is he really in the danger list when he has to go and Biya will call him and he thinks he can still go back? And then he talks about if we have our independence, soon the western zone, the northern zone, we said they were separating from the southern zone if there's a problem. Is that a statement which would come from somebody who has the people at heart? Because on the contrary, the thing should be, unity, and not thinking that tomorrow one part will think that they are living again. And then again, he talked of, he says we are killing ourselves. Does he really know the people who are actually killing? Because from the way he talks, it seems to me he doesn't even know what is happening on the ground. And he says he was the first to go to the radio and talk about independence. He was the first to broadcast and all whatnot. What was he broadcasting? He doesn't know. Does he know the statement? The first shall be the last. If you begin something and halfway you go against it, have you done anything? Please let him try to sit up. People are suffering, and we have stood for separation, and separation is what we want. If he doesn't want separation, please don't bring people who come over to you and say something that instead of encouraging us, we'll just feel so depressed and think that we are really in hell because we think that our people who should help us are doing the wrong things.
Thank you. I think that the people who could help us, I hope you heard that, my brother. I hope that the people who could help us are doing the wrong thing. Let me take this one more call because it's from Ground Zero before you round up here. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Hello. Okay, I think it's a bad connection there. Let me see. Hello. Hello.
Greetings, Secretary Chris.
Greetings, sir. You are live, and I give you 50 seconds for your question, please, or comment. Where are you calling from, by the way?
Yeah. I'm calling from Donga Mountain, precisely in Kambe.
Thank you. What is your question? Be brief.
Please, I want to ask Pastor Kennedy, is he a genuine pastor? the way he talks, does he see what happened in Garbo? That was 14th of last month. If truly that is a message that he can stand and focus for the truth. Thanks very much, Secretary.
Thank you for that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the calls. I will allow Kennedy make the last answers to those questions. You have the microphone, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me on your platform. And I mean, to the last caller, the whole world condemned what happened in Garhu, and I think I will not stand on the sideline. You can go on my Facebook page. I condemn that without any equivocation. We condemn that killing. It's true that there's still some unanswered questions with regards to that, but the information that we have as of now shows that the military was involved in that killing, and the military itself is calling its people to book, which means that by all terms the military has recognized, and that's why I say I condemn that. And I mean, well, there is something that's very critical. I've been fighting this fight for 25 years, it's true, and I've been fighting in my own way with the SDF and everything. We will continue the fight, and many people have supported us in this fight. I told you that I received a call because the subject matter here was the major national dialogue. We were called because, you know, we received a call. The director of cabinet of the prime minister called me, and it also happened that it was, I mean, when we gathered all the information, it was a Cardinal Christian Toomey, that maneuvered for all of these things to happen, that some people from the diaspora will go there. We acknowledge all those people who have come in and they have put their voices. You're asking me, am I a pastor? It's for you to decide whether I'm a pastor or not. I didn't make myself a pastor, just as Chris did not make himself a pastor. It's a divine call. So we don't put people's calling into question. Let's avoid being personal and let's talk the issues. Because one of the things that Southern Cameroonians are doing is they've gone from the issues to talking about persons. I've said a lot of things here that you can talk on without talking about my person, because you cannot defend who I am. So the struggle continues. It was somebody said I came into the lion's den. It's true. Coming here, I knew that I was coming on uncharted ground. But I want to thank you, Chris Arno, for the very warm reception that you gave me on your show. And you bombarded me. Yes, we have a divergency. Did we close the gap today? I'm not sure.
Well, I hope that, I really hope that we have, and I really want to believe it. As a man of God, you go back and re-listen to all these phone calls that came to you and ask yourself, who am I fighting for? Who am I really fighting for? And if you have the time, also go back to Facebook after the broadcast on ABC Ambazonia Facebook page. Go through the comments. And I know some people are just are vicious, that we know. But there are people that put true opinion out there that means a lot. I brought you here so that we can reason out and listen to people, callers like this, and I hope that it make a difference in the direction that you take. It is there is absolutely nothing wrong in Ambazonian becoming its own country. And I think at a certain point, I had really thought some of you who have a voice out there would step out to the regime and speak truth to that regime and say, you know what, we ask for
I mean, reforms. We're doing that every day.
We're doing
that. We're speaking truth to the regime.
But there is a way you do it that is meaningful. There is a way that you do it that is meaningful. You go to the regime and say, Mr. President, when this thing started, we asked for reforms, you gave us nothing. We moved to federation, you gave us nothing. Now you declare war on us, you are killing our people, you have crossed the line, we are no longer on your side. I think that is what these callers and the majority of Ambazonians out there want to hear from people like you. Anyways, thank you for coming in. I appreciate your coming in because I know some people will not pick the call, but you did. Thank you for that courage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for sitting in there. I hope you have benefited one way or the other from this conversation. The choice is yours. I mean, the scores are yours to make as per what my comrade here, Kennedy, has stated. So, before I go, I'd like to remind you of lockdown on Saturday. Those of you on Ground Zero, I am glad that I received some phone calls from Ground Zero. That means they have light over there. So, lockdown on Sunday. And then Monday, ghost town, regular ghost town. Somebody raised the question as to whether we should not include Tuesday to the Monday ghost town. I think I've heard that appeal before, quite a number of times. The interim government will discuss about it, and the NSC will talk about it, and Ground Zero, you will hear from us when and if a decision is made. And again, there is a certain group out there calling for a so-called International Southern Cameroon's Town Hall. Please, these are not the people that genuine Ambazonian independentists want to associate themselves with. Do not respond to any town hall from people who are covering up their identity and trying to sell you a different article. The only article we have to sell in this struggle, for which we have been fighting for over 4 years, is a free and independent Southern Cameroon. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, it was a pleasure to come to you today. I hope that you will have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Now, before I go, I'd like to take this piece of music, which I love so much. It is done by one of us, a pastor gentleman by the name of Pastor Sama John. Now, this song, you can find it. Let me get the information for you, because I know lots of people have been asking where they can get the complete album of this piece of music here. You can get this song. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, give me 1 second. You can get this song, God Knows My Name, or so. You can get it. You can get the song on iTunes. I mean, the album is You Know My Name. You Know My Name. You Know My Name. That is the name of that album. That is the name of that album. And you can find the full album, ladies and gentlemen. You can find the full album on iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon. You can find it too on Amazon. You can also find it at Google Play. You can find this song there. Again, the title of the song is You Know My Name by John Sama. You Know My Name by John Sama. You can find it also on Pandora, YouTube, TikTok, Deezer,